The Mitchell mansion loomed against the Malibu horizon, its glass walls reflecting the crimson sunset over the Pacific. Connor Carter tightened his grip on his worn leather bag as the taxi disappeared down the coastal road. This palatial fortress would be his workplace as the new live-in assistant to tech billionaire Alexander Mitchell. 6 months ago, Connor walked the prestigious halls of Juilliard with dreams of concert halls and standing ovations. Now, student loans and a family fishing business capsizing under economic pressure had forced him to pause his musical aspirations. The irony wasn't lost on him. He had once applied to Mitchell Tech's music technology division, hoping his composition algorithms might impress them. His application was rejected without explanation. The mansion's massive cedar doors swung open before Connor could knock. Mrs. Reynolds, the stern-faced house manager, greeted him with evaluating eyes. "Mr. Mitchell works late, expects perfection. Silence is preferable." Her clipped instructions echoed through marble hallways adorned with museum-quality art, but devoid of photographs or personal touches. While organizing the library, Connor felt a presence behind him. Alexander Mitchell stood in the doorway tall, imposing in a black cashmere sweater. Connor had seen him in Forbes, but those images captured nothing of his presence. Alexander's storm-gray eyes held the weight of someone who'd lost more than they'd gained. "The West Wing is off limits," Alexander stated, his voice unexpectedly soft yet commanding. "No exceptions." Later that night, curiosity led Connor past the forbidden wing. Through a partially open door, he glimpsed Alexander sitting alone, staring at a holographic display, medical diagrams, genetic sequences, and a photograph of a young man with a radiant smile hovering midair. Alexander's head snapped up, eyes locking with Connor's. "His name was David," he said simply. The Mitchell Neural Diagnostic System was too late for him. A rare neurological disorder took him 3 years ago. Connor suddenly understood the sorrow permeating every corner of this glass palace. It wasn't just a billionaire's isolation he'd entered, but a monument to grief. The real challenge wouldn't be the demanding job, but whether Connor's music could bring life back to a place where time had stopped. Follow their journey on Heart Stories, where we explore how unexpected connections can heal our deepest wounds. December arrived with unexpected fury along the California coast. Storm warnings blared across Connor's phone as he secured the mansion's windows. Outside, palm trees bent sideways under hurricane-force winds, the ocean swelling into angry mountains. Connor had just finished stockpiling emergency supplies when the mansion plunged into darkness. Alexander emerged from his office, illuminated by the blue light of his phone. Their eyes met in the shadowy hallway, mutual recognition of their sudden shared vulnerability. The generator should have activated automatically. Alexander frowned. A tremendous crack split the air. The ancient oak had finally surrendered, crashing through the power system. "We're isolated until morning," Connor said, checking the road cameras. The Pacific Coast Highway had already flooded, cutting off access to the mansion. Alexander nodded, something unreadable crossing his features, fear perhaps, or the realization that his technology-dependent fortress had been humbled by nature. Connor moved methodically through the mansion, lighting handcrafted beeswax candles. He led Alexander to the great room with its massive stone fireplace and arranged kindling in a perfect pyramid structure. The flames caught quickly, painting the room in amber warmth. "Your application file said you studied at Juilliard, Billionaire," Alexander said, breaking the silence. Connor froze momentarily, realizing Alexander had researched him. "You know, I applied to Mitchell Tech." Alexander's mouth twitched slightly. "Your algorithmic composition software was impressive. The rejection wasn't about quality." His eyes reflected firelight as he added softly, "I didn't want musical AI competing with the human creativity. David was a cellist." Connor approached the dust-covered Steinway grand piano in the corner. "May I?" Alexander nodded, something awakening in his expression. Connor's fingers caressed the keys, coaxing out Chopin's Raindrop Prelude, the perfect accompaniment to the storm's percussion. "Berklee College of Music, piano performance," Alexander said quietly when Connor finished. before MIT and coding consumed my life. Alexander approached the piano, hesitantly playing a sequence that Connor recognized as the beginning of a duet. Without words, they fell into musical conversation, their backgrounds melting away. Thanksgiving arrived with unexpected warmth. Connor spent the morning preparing dishes from his family's recipes: Oregon crab cakes, sourdough stuffing with hazelnuts, blackberry cobbler. Alexander appeared in the doorway, transfixed by the domestic scene. "My mother made cobbler," he said softly, accepting the offered spoon, closing his eyes as memories visibly washed over him. Days later, Alexander surprised Connor with tickets to drive down the Pacific Coast Highway to a local food festival. Alexander seemed transformed outside his glass fortress, relaxed in worn jeans and sunglasses. When Super Bowl Sunday arrived, Alexander invited a small group of friends, the first social gathering the mansion had hosted since David's passing. Connor realized the mansion was gradually transforming from mausoleum to home. Life teaches us that sometimes our greatest transformations come during our darkest storms. When we're stripped of pretense and power, our shared humanity emerges, revealing that music and simple connection can rebuild bridges between isolated hearts. Spring sunshine bathed the mansion in golden light, but dark clouds gathered on the horizon. Connor accidentally overheard Alexander's video conference while delivering coffee to his home office. "Stock prices down 18% this quarter," a sharp female voice declared. "Shareholders are questioning your focus. Alex, you've missed 3 international conferences." Connor stepped away, guilt twisting in his stomach. The mansion had come alive these past months, Alexander working shorter hours, joining Connor for sunset walks along the private beach, even laughing during their impromptu piano duets. Had Connor's presence undermined the very empire that employed him, Victoria Reynolds arrived unannounced the following day, her Tesla purring up the circular driveway. Connor recognized her immediately, Alexander's childhood friend, MIT classmate, and Mitchell Tech co-founder. Her Louboutin heels clicked aggressively across the marble floor as she assessed the changes in the mansion with narrowed eyes. "You've redecorated," she observed coolly, noting the fresh flowers Connor arranged daily. Her gaze landed on Connor with laser precision. "So you're the distraction." Later, Victoria cornered Connor in the kitchen. "Alex's family disowned him when he came out," she revealed, swirling expensive Cabernet in a crystal glass. "The prestigious Mitchells of Boston couldn't handle a gay son destabilizing their conservative image. I stood by him when they abandoned him. The board can remove him as CEO," Victoria continued. "A relationship with staff would violate company ethics codes he himself established." Her perfect smile never reached her eyes. One whiff of scandal and everything he built crumbles. The annual Mitchell Tech Charity Gala arrived, transforming the mansion into a showcase of wealth and innovation. Connor moved invisibly among Silicon Valley elites, refilling champagne flutes while Alexander demonstrated the latest neural interface technology. Victoria remained perpetually at Alexander's side, her hand possessively on his arm. "Quite the rags to riches fantasy you're living," Victoria whispered when she caught Connor alone. A struggling musician from nowhere, Oregon, catching the eye of one of America's most eligible bachelors. Her voice carried just far enough that nearby guests turned with interest. Alexander appeared, his expression darkening as he assessed the situation. "Everything all right?" His hand instinctively moved to Connor's lower back, a gesture of protection that several guests noticed. A photographer from Tech Insider captured the moment, the touch, the protective stance, the unmistakable intimacy between the billionaire and his assistant. By morning, speculation blazed across social media. Mitchell Tech CEO's secret relationship, headline technology blogs. Connor discovered the headlines while bringing Alexander his morning coffee. "You read my application to Mitchell Tech," he said quietly. "You knew who I was before hiring me." Alexander's expression confirmed the truth. "I recognized your name from the applicant pool," he admitted. "Your algorithms were brilliant. I wanted to meet the mind behind them. So I was an experiment." Connor's voice cracked. "No." Alexander moved toward him, but Connor stepped back. "It started that way, perhaps, but became something else entirely." That evening, Connor packed his few belongings. He left his resignation letter beside the Steinway. Alexander was away at an emergency board meeting. Connor slipped away, convinced his departure was the greatest gift he could offer. The harsh reality of our differences often emerges just as our hearts begin to align. Society's expectations and the scars of our past can form barriers more impenetrable than wealth or status. The Mitchell Tech boardroom fell silent as Alexander slammed his palm against the polished conference table. "I built this company from nothing." His voice remained controlled, but vibrated with intensity. "I've delivered consecutive years of innovation and profit, and now you question my leadership because of who I choose to care about." Victoria sat opposite him, her expression a careful mask of professional concern. "Alex, we're protecting what we built together." Her perfectly manicured fingers slid the tabloid photos across the table. "Your personal choices are becoming liabilities." Alexander's laugh held no humor. "My personal choices were acceptable when I worked 20-hour days designing algorithms that made you all millions. My personal choices were fine when I grieved alone in that mansion." His voice dropped dangerously. "But God forbid Alexander Mitchell finds a moment of happiness that isn't measured in stock options." He walked out of the boardroom to stunned silence. The drive back to Malibu stretched interminably. The mansion's emptiness hit him the moment he entered. Something fundamental had changed. Alexander found the resignation letter on the piano, the elegant handwriting blurring as he read Connor's goodbye. Days blurred into weeks. Alexander retreated into work, pushing Mitchell Tech's neural interface technology forward with relentless focus. The market responded favorably. Stock prices rebounded, board concerns quieted. Victoria orchestrated positive press coverage, her relief evident as Alexander appeared to return to his former self. But the mansion remained untouched. Connor's influence lingered in the fresh flowers, now wilting in crystal vases, in the piano that remained open but unplayed, in the kitchen where sourdough starter died in its jar. Inside Connor's desk drawer, Alexander found a small USB drive. He plugged it into his computer. The screen filled with musical notations, Connor's compositions. Alexander clicked on a file labeled simply, "Remember Us." The melody began softly, hesitantly, with underlying minor chords that spoke of longing and loss. Then it transformed into something hopeful, incorporating subtle motifs from the duets they had played together during the storm. That night, Alexander made two momentous decisions. First, he listed the Malibu mansion for sale. Its beauty had again become a prison. Second, he initiated Project Harmonics, directing Mitchell Tech's powerful AI to search for musical compositions similar to Connor's distinctive style. Victoria confronted him when she discovered the mansion listing. "Running away won't solve anything, Alex," she argued. "This is exactly what the board feared: emotional decisions affecting company assets." Alexander regarded her thoughtfully. "When did we become this, Victoria? When did growth metrics replace actual living?" He handed her his revised contract terms for Mitchell Tech, non-negotiable conditions for his continued leadership that included complete autonomy over his personal life. Months passed with no success from Project Harmonics. Alexander relocated to a modest apartment in San Francisco, closer to Mitchell Tech headquarters. He threw himself into finalizing the neural diagnostic system that had come too late for David. Then, on a rainy Tuesday morning, Alexander's phone alerted with a Project Harmonics match. Connor Carter was scheduled to perform original compositions at a small cafe in Seattle that weekend. The Seattle skies opened in typical fashion as Alexander entered the Emerald Note Cafe. He chose a corner table, hat pulled low. Connor appeared wearing a simple blue button-down. His fingers touched the keys, and Alexander's world narrowed to nothing but sound. Connor played compositions Alexander had never heard, music born in their separation. Then, without announcement, Connor began playing Remember Us. In our most painful separations often lies our greatest clarity. Distance has a way of sifting through confusion, leaving behind only what matters most. The Emerald Note Cafe emptied slowly as patrons lingered to congratulate Connor. Alexander remained in his corner, heart pounding against his ribs. When the last admirer departed, Connor began gathering his sheet music. Alexander stood, Removing his hat as he approached the small stage, Connor froze, sheet music slipping from his fingers. Recognition, shock, and something undefinable crossed his features. Alexander, he whispered, the name sounding both familiar and foreign on his lips after months of absence. Your music found me, Alexander said simply. The algorithm recognized your unique compositional signature. A shadow of hurt crossed Connor's face. So technology brought you here? No. Alexander stepped closer. Technology located you. I came because I couldn't bear another day without hearing your voice, without hearing your music, without seeing your face when you play. You let me walk away, Connor said softly. I did, Alexander acknowledged, his voice thick with regret. I spent a lifetime building walls to protect myself after David died. Then you arrived and made those walls unnecessary. It terrified me. The board meeting. What happened? I gave them an ultimatum. Alexander's mouth curved slightly. My terms, including complete personal autonomy, or my resignation effective immediately. Turns out the board values their visionary founder more than they dislike his romantic choices. And Victoria will adapt or move on. Alexander's expression softened. I sold the mansion. That was your home. Connor exhaled sharply. It was a mausoleum, Alexander corrected gently. Until you filled it with music and sourdough and actual living. Home isn't a structure. Connor, I learned that from you. 3 months later, they stood together on the deck of a craftsman house in Carmel by the sea. The property featured both a recording studio and a home office. The Christmas tree inside twinkled with lights. The Boston Mitchells have requested our presence for New Year's, Alexander mentioned casually, wrapping his arm around Connor's waist. Connor turned, surprised. Your family wants to meet me. The following spring, Connor performed Remember Us with the Seattle Symphony. Alexander watched from the audience, no longer hiding his presence or his pride. Backstage, Connor found Alexander waiting with a simple blue box containing a key to the Coastal Community Arts Center Alexander had established in the former Malibu property. For musicians who need space to create, Alexander explained, named after David. Have you ever had to choose between protecting yourself and opening your heart to love? Would you have the courage to cross social divides to find happiness? Share your thoughts below and subscribe to Heart Stories for more tales that remind us how love transcends our differences.